Hello viewers, today we're going to be putting the longer down rod on this King of Fiends Fiend. Here's the down rod. It's a Westinghouse 1/2 inch rod. It's probably too long, but you know, that's what it is. Sometimes you just can't get everything quite right. So it looks like the size is correct at least. So this should work. Only concern is that the wires, the lead wires in the fan, may not be quite long enough, which is going to result in having to make a junction within the down rod, which I don't particularly like that, but I don't really have an objection to it either. I think it's perfectly safe to do that. So anyways, I gotta get this thing opened, which is proving to be somewhat difficult. So perhaps I will do that once it's up. So got a plastic film all over everything, which perhaps would be valuable to leave there during the installation process, and I think that's all scratched up. Okay, so we'll take the fan down. I think I'm only going to take off one of the blades because the mounting system is very easy to work with on this. If this was a weird mounting system that was hard to work with, I would take them all off, but I think I'll be able to take just one of the blades off and handle it safely enough with the other three on. Okay, so there's that. Is this thing off? Yes, it is. Okay, so I got one of the blades off. Set that aside. Let's drop the canopy down a little bit. It's just these two screws here. I'll loosen these up a hair. Maybe one or two turns. That should be good enough. There we go. And we'll turn that. And this is super easy to work with here. I can go right in here and start undoing the wires, and I got plenty of clearance to work with, even with the blades attached still, so we're fine as far as that's concerned. Okay. And the wires are definitely not going to be long enough, so we're going to have to put an extension in there, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Trying to set this down on my couch here so we don't bend anything. Alright. Okay, so hopefully this goes easy. I get my wires out here. I got a couple of wires we'll use to extend this. Okay. So let's get this off. Get this off first. Now let's just make sure that this will go on here. It will. Okay, so that's no problem. It's not super tight or loose, but it won't be a functional issue. the proper thing to do would be to take these wires, go into the switch housing, pull them out and put new ones in. But I'm not inclined to do that right now. So, just barely isn't going to make it. So that's fine. What we'll do is add a little bit of an extension on here. And this is copper stranded. This is copper stranded. I don't know what the reasoning is, but you're not supposed to mix them theoretically. So we won't. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll take the blue and the black, and I'll put that to the black. The blue is kind of irrelevant in this case because I'm not using this with a light, but it's there, so we'll just connect it anyways. It's not going to cause any harm. And I'll use the blue wire for the white. And I'm only doing it this way because I'm going to be the one that's taking this down or servicing it. I wouldn't do this in another application where somebody else could, because it could cause confusion. Okay, so that's all we really needed to do. And this will sit in the rod. It's going to be flaky. It's going to be flaky, but it is what it is. This is going to have to go kind of sit like this. It's going to be a very tight fit. In fact, it's not going to fit. Okay. Well, don't really want to tape them. Let me see if I get some smaller nuts. The problem is these nuts have these little wings on them, and that's making it not fit. I think I got some smaller ones that'll work though. Okay, I got some other nuts. I think these will work fine. I'm not really thrilled about using these, but I'm going to do it anyways. I have to cut this back, it's a bit too long. Actually, that's totally fine. I don't have any issues with that. And in fact, I'm fine with that too. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll feed these through here, and these are going to have to go on kind of at an angle like this. It's going to get hard to push them up because there's going to be a lot of resistance. But they'll go. Should have brought up a longer screwdriver. It would have been useful to kind of jam these through here. Oh, they're going okay though. Okay, we got one of them. And jammed. There's the other. Okay. was right at the crest here. He ain't wanting to come out, but I think he's going to have to come out. Come out the top. You gotta get a little screwdriver or something to pull that out with. Okay, so the connections have come out the top. They look good. That's that. Pin to go back through. Okay, and then we'll tighten these up. And this is threaded now, which is not quite what this is supposed to take. It's supposed to be a flat one. So it may sit a little weird, perhaps slightly crooked. Where is the screwdriver? It's in the pocket. Hopefully it sits okay. It's going to be a little bit flaky. It's not going to fall. It's going to be perfectly secure. It's just going to be a little bit flaky. In fact, that's not too bad. So we'll just tighten these nuts down here. Canopy's got to go back down. And this has to go back on. And this is not straight. Well, actually not straight. It's not quite secure. It's not going to fall. Okay, but because there's no screw going in here, it's not, you know, really firm. What I could do, perhaps, is I could take this screw and try to find a longer one, maybe. But, or perhaps what I could do, could I put something in between there? That's as tight as that goes. Now, it may just be a little bit flaky. It's not a safety issue at all. It's perfectly secure. Maybe I can shim it with a couple of pieces of wire. Now we're kind of getting into hackery at this point, but sometimes you just gotta make do. It's just falling through. You know what? We're gonna live with it. We're gonna live with it. The worst thing that'll happen is the fan just sways a bit when it's running. I don't think it's out of balance, so it shouldn't really be a big deal. The way to correct this would be to change this screw to a longer one, but I don't have one on hand. So it's just going to remain as is. Okay, so let's put this back onto the cylinder now. Now let's see, it should hang too low now. It's going to be kind of low. I know that. But I hope it's not too low. Well, it's not great. It's very low. Oh, the downrod should really be cut, I think. Yeah, that's pretty low. Okay. It should probably be like maybe 2 inches shorter. It's yeah, it really is. It's kind of too long. It's not dangerously low. You can walk under it and there's clearance, but it's not what it should be at all. So, yeah. Well, I kind of figured that would be the case. Oh, you can even see where it's at. Goof. Yeah, it's low. It's hanging too low. I would say it should be cut off about maybe 3 inches. And I gotta drill a new hole. I guess I'm gonna have to do that now. Didn't really want to get into that right now, but I'm gonna have to. I just cut this down and re-drilled it. It's about 8 inches now, which is the correct height. And now I think we should have to deal with no flakiness of the wiring. It should just go right through and be long enough. Yeah, it will be. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's put this back up. Now, oddly enough, the mount feels much stronger now, probably because the threaded area was creating some extra space. Yeah, that's not the mounting bracket, that's the mounting bracket. Good grief. You can tell these productions start going downhill when I get tired. Okay, let's put this back up there. It'll be the right height this time. That's good. Now we got like 8 inches or so of clearance at least. Yeah, that's fine. That's good right there. I will accept that height. Okay, so let's wire this thing back up. It should move a lot more air now too. Because before it just, I mean, it was moving air, but it wasn't moving as much air as it should have. You know, based on looking at the motor and the blades and the pitch and everything, it should have been throwing out a lot more air than it was. And I think it was just because the blades were too close to the cylinder. So this should solve that problem. Okay. Now put the canopy back up. Okay, and the fan is crooked. I wonder if I can fix that. It's crooked here at this mounting point. Probably could fix that. It's gotta be just like that. Not sure if I can tighten it to stay there or not. Undo those nuts. I don't really need those. It's not gonna fall if they're loose, but perhaps I could use them to the advantage to hold it in place. Okay, I just did the rest of it while I was talking on the phone because I'm not getting anything done today. Anyways, here it is, finished product, new downrod length. The downrod finish is an excellent match, looks great compared to the old one. And the length is good. You know, it could have been an inch lower, I think. If it was in the bedroom, I probably would have left it the way it was because the bed is underneath it, so it doesn't really matter. But in here, you know, I walk under it, so it's got to be correct height. It's more than twice what it was, and now we've got a good clearance. It's like a good 8 or 10 inches from the ceiling, so I'm pretty happy with the way this is hanging now. So let's go ahead and crank this up. See how it performs. It shakes a bit now, which is a function of the way it's mounted, because the old mounting, or the correct mounting with the exact fit downrod, was firm up against the ball in the socket there, so it couldn't sway easily. Right now it's not free, I mean it's not secure, so it has the ability to sway any way it wants to with total ease. So that's why it's moving ever so slightly, because it's not an absolute perfect balance. The tightness of the way the old thing was mounted would have stopped this wobble, but it's not anywhere near enough to be an issue. And wow, what an increase in performance. Now it's moving the air I would expect it to move. Now it feels like now it's powerful, and it's like it should be. You can see under it just a constant hurricane coming out of this thing. That's how it's supposed to be. And I can feel the air moving all over the room. It just wasn't working right the way it was before. It was too close to the ceiling. It wasn't getting the air over it. So this is good. This is a big improvement in performance. Much happier with it like this. Now it's powerful. If you go down to low, it's kind of a noisy fan. I've noticed that as I've been using it more. When it's quiet, you can really hear it humming. Yeah, on low it's not shaking at all, so it's in pretty good balance. And it's still pushing plenty of air on low. You can really feel it on low. So that's good. This is fixed. This is the way it should be.